Could it be? But me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to the command post. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your commander-in-chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. This will be one of the last command post episodes we'll get for quite some time as the season is upon us. And so the LouieTeeNetwork fall schedule gets underway here tomorrow, as a matter of fact. And so it'll be Commanders Nightly News pretty much here from this point forward until the end of the season. But I thought it was only fitting if I came at you with a bit of a flashback to January 3rd. This episode was CNN episode 18.2. So this is an excerpt from that. And it is an episode that I don't know what prompted me to go back. I can't tell you exactly why I picked this episode in particular, but I ended up watching this episode, and the message at the very beginning was so profound. I felt like it was only right for me to run it back and let you hear it again, because I don't know if you were willing to accept this message when it was given back in January, because we were in such a state of disarray at that point. The season was wrapping up at that point. We were over it. We were done. We wanted Rivera gone. We wanted Eric Bieniemy gone. Jack Del Rio was already gone. We couldn't really see past what we had just been through, but we knew that better days were on the horizon. But it was hard to see that when you were going through what we went through last year to get to where we ultimately are now. In order to get to where we are now, we had to go through what we went through last year. I don't want to go through that again, right? But there was a message that came from last year's struggle and strife. And I talked about this message, and I've preached this all off season. And now as we get this close, we are literally knocking on the door of the season. We are less than a week away from our guys taking the field for the first time in 2024, feeling refreshed and brand new. And I still want this message to resonate, because while this is going to be a fun season, it's also going to be a season that requires two things. And I talk about it in this video, and I want you guys to listen up. I don't know if you heard it the first time, so I'm running it back. So now that you're in a much better place to receive this message, I hope you hear this loud and clear. So until tomorrow, when we kick off the fall season, I'll give you a little something to keep you going and hold you over until then. Listen to this excerpt from episode 18.2, Commanders Nightly News. Hope you enjoy, and I will see you tomorrow. All right, so two things I have to mention real quick. This video obviously was back in January, so two things I need you to ignore. One, the NHL hat. Different headspace. You know where I was at back in January. I was still repping for my boy Sam. And two, I thought we were going to get Benjamin Johnson. I'm so glad we didn't get Benjamin Johnson. F Benjamin Johnson. Glad we got Dan Quinn. And so those are the two things that you have to kind of, I just don't pay as much attention to it, all right? Everything else remains true and the same. And so don't let the hat and the Benjamin Johnson comment cloud your judgment, all right? Everything else remains the same. Enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. So I wanted to come on today and offer up a public service announcement that I don't feel like I should have to make, but I'm going to make it anyway, because I'm starting to hear this more and more as we get closer and closer to the end of the regular season, closer and closer. Now 5 days and counting until Ronald and company are now gone. I start to hear more and more about Washington turning this thing around next year, right? Being, chief competitors in the NFC East next year. Turning this thing around like Detroit did, like Houston did, as if those teams turned it around overnight. There are no shortcuts on the road to success, okay? And as a fan, I need you to understand that the two things that you can exhibit the most during this time as we transition from one regime and a total overhaul of the front office and really this organization as a whole to where we want to ultimately be is patience and perseverance. And there's too little of those two things as fans in today's society. No one's patient anymore. Everybody wants it right now. Everybody wants instant gratification. We live in a microwavable society. Everybody wants to push it into the microwave, push the 30-second button, and have it be ready to go instantly. I want to win, and I want to win now. You've waited this long time, and you've waited 20 years, you've waited 30 years, you've waited 10 years, you've waited 7 years, you haven't seen a winner. You're going to have to wait some more, okay? The likelihood is you're going to have to wait some more. I'm not telling you that it's impossible. Teams turn it around in 1 year all the time. The Giants did it last year, right? It's not impossible. And in a league set up for parity and for worst to first to happen, it could happen. But understand that sustained success does not happen overnight. And one of my favorite things to preach to people is looking at what somebody else has and fawning over that, but not actually taking into consideration what sacrifices that person had to make to get to where they are and the things that they have. You only see the end result. You didn't see the struggle, the pain, the strife to get to where they are, to have the things that they have, to enjoy the fruits of their labor. You don't see all of that. You just see the final result. You see the end product. The Detroit Lions didn't just magically end up 11-5 this year and look to be in a position to be good for the next 3-4 years in the foreseeable future. Even with Jared Goff at quarterback, they didn't just magically appear out of nowhere into being really good. They hired a GM in 2021. That GM hired Dan Campbell in 2021, and then they promptly went 3-13. You're not talking about that now, are you? The next year, in 2022, they started the season 1-6. That's right, Dan Campbell was 4-19 in his first 23 games and was in danger of being fired before they went on that hot streak to finish up 2022, winning 8 of their final 10 games, getting to 9-8, barely missing out on the postseason, making a statement in week 18 last year on the road at Green Bay when their season was done and Green Bay needed to win to make it to the postseason. And they went in there, pulled out all the stops, including a trick play at the end of the game to preserve the victory and put Green Bay out of the playoffs. And we thought that could be it for Aaron Rodgers. Now they're 11-5. Now they're one of the best teams in the NFC. And it took them a while to get here. I don't hear a lot of fans talking about that process. I just hear them talking about, I want to be like Detroit. Well, Detroit went 3-13 in the first year of their new GM and new head coach. And that was with a veteran quarterback, I may add. We're going to do all of this with a new GM, probably a new team president, a new GM, a new head coach, and a new quarterback. So expect some lumps, some bumps, some bruises. Expect some struggles. For some of you, you have weak stomachs. You can't handle it. You can't handle losing. You can't handle another bad season. You can't handle a quarterback struggling. I've watched you struggle this year with a quarterback struggling. I've watched you in past years struggle with a quarterback struggling. I know some of you aren't built for that. The minute the next guy comes in here and starts to struggle, he's trash, and you start looking towards the draft for the next guy. I'm not talking to all of you. I'm just talking to some of you. If it applies to you, wear it. If it doesn't, then let it go right over your head, right down your back. Those of you know who I'm talking about. And if you don't want to admit it, fine. A lot of you, I'm looking at the Texans. Hey, they got a first-year head coach. They got a first-year quarterback. Look at what the Texans are doing. Yeah, but did you see what happened in 2021 when they hired their new GM, Nick Caserio? Did you see what he did in 2021 by hiring David Culley? Trying to, in effect, keep Deshaun Watson on board because Watson and Culley had a relationship. When that failed, they fired Culley after the season. Hired Lovie Smith to take on a no-win situation without Deshaun Watson and starting Davis Mills at quarterback. They were awful and ended up with the number 2 overall pick. Fired him as well. And then hired DeMeco Ryans, right? So 3 years, that GM essentially had a chance to turn over the roster, albeit 3 different head coaches in that same time span, right? So a new coach every year that GM has been in Houston. A new coach was there every single year, and a new starting quarterback was there every single year. But he continued to turn over that roster. Continued to make small little changes. And then finally, when DeMeco Ryans shows up and they get CJ Stroud and they make all of these moves, had a really good draft again, it all starts to come together. Bad in 2021, bad in 2022, finally starting to see the fruits of their labor in 2023. It took 3 years in Detroit. It took 3 years in Houston for them to actually get to where they are now. These transformations didn't happen overnight, fans. Guys and gals out there, I'm just telling you, some of you are looking for the quick fix. If you haven't learned over the last 25 years that quick fixes don't get it done under the Daniel Snyder regime, that's all we ever tried. Every time we ran over a nail, we never decided to go get a new tire. We always wanted to go and get the tire repaired. Oh, just put some Fix-A-Flat on it. It'll be fine. Oh, what's that commercial with that crazy guy that's always slapping that damn tape on stuff? Go get some of that shit. Put it on the tire. We'll be fine. And every damn time we get to the finish line and the tire blows out on us. Or hell, we don't even make it to the finish line half the damn time. Like this year, we didn't even make it to the damn finish line. Last year, we almost made it to the finish line. Tire blew out in week 17. There are no shortcuts here, guys, gals. There are no shortcuts in this thing. If you want to win, if you want sustained success, we're going to have to do it the right way. And finally, you as a fan should be committed after seeing what we've done the wrong way for over 2 decades. You should be more than thrilled at the prospects of doing it the right way. And whatever that entails, whether it takes us 2 years or 3 years to turn it around, you should be hunkering down and preparing yourself for whatever's to come. We all want to win. And we would love nothing more than that to happen next season. And it could. I'm not telling you that it won't. I'm just telling you that the likelihood is that it won't. It's not impossible. It's just highly unlikely. There are a lot of things that are going to be stacked against this team next year. New front office structure, whether that includes a team president or not, remains to be seen on the football side. You're going to have a new GM, you're going to have a new head coach, and you're going to have a new starting quarterback, more likely than not. You're going to have a lot of new pieces on this roster, whether it's offense or defense. There's going to be a lot of moving parts. There's going to be a lot of change. And for all of that to come together, the only thing we will have in our favor is the unknown, right? Other teams won't really know what to expect now. Again, if we hire an offensive coordinator from elsewhere, they'll just look at what that coordinator did at his last stop and what his principles are and what he believes in it. They'll try to game plan against us based off of that, but they won't know because we'll have different personnel. We'll have different things that we will be able to do because we have different players on our team, and our quarterback will be much different in terms of his skill set. No matter who we draft, he's going to be a better athlete than Jared Goff. So you can't just solely base what we will do off of what Ben Johnson say Well, if he's the head coach, and I'm assuming I'm going to speak that into existence. That's the guy that I want. It may not happen, but that's the guy that I want. So I'm going to speak that into existence. Jared Goff is not an athlete. Whomever we draft, assuming we draft a quarterback, if we don't, and it's Sam Howell, he's a better athlete than Jared Goff as well. So either way, it's going to look different. But I'm just telling you, I'm just preparing you, I'm just informing you that these transformations don't happen overnight. I know you would hope that it does. I know that you want to look around and you want to convince yourself that they do. But take it from an NFL fan that has been watching these things happen over and 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 over again. Rarely do these things happen overnight. So while I'm going to be just as excited as the next fan, and of course, by the time we get to August and we start playing preseason games and all of the hoopla of the offseason has worn off and now we're ready for actual tackle football. And if this team comes out and plays really well in the preseason and we get excited and hyped up, of course, there will be a lot of fanfare and there'll be a lot of hype. And we may, I do this all the time. When I get excited and I see the potential, I'm liable to throw out 10, 11, 12 wins. That's my move. I'm guilty as charged. Okay? If I can somehow devise a path to 10, 11, or 12 wins, I'm going to do it. In the last 2 years, I've seen a path to double-digit wins. Now, we didn't travel on that path, clearly, right? Let it sink in for a second. We went undefeated in the preseason, which doesn't matter. It's not worth a damn. But what is worth a damn is we started the season 2-0. Let that sink in for a second. We started the season 2-0. We've lost 13 out of our last 15 games. Do you know how inept you have to be as a team to lose 13 out of 15 and are currently on the worst losing streak in the league at 7 games? Do you understand how bad things have to get to do that in an NFL season? It's not easy to win in this league. It's not easy to win consistently in this league. If you want those two things to occur here, you need to exhibit patience and perseverance. Okay? Patience to allow all the factors in play to work. A lot of moving parts, a lot of new pieces, a lot of things going on at once. Just step back and allow these guys to do their jobs, or gals to do their jobs, without you breathing down their necks, screaming, fire them and get another set of people in here. Too many of you are impulsive like David Tepper. Just sit the hell down and shut up and let the damn system work. Whether it works or not, we'll find out together. But damn it, it's not going to work in 16 or 17 games. It could, but the likelihood is it won't. So just relax. Shit might not work in 32 games or 33 games or 34 games. You may have to wait 2 seasons and going into that 3rd season for us to finally bear fruit here. Whatever the case may be, you are going to have to persevere. There's some things that aren't going to work. And as a fan, you're going to have to be okay with that. Power through and understand that there's still a vision for the GM, team president, head coach, etc., etc. There's a vision. And because this one thing didn't work doesn't mean the vision isn't going to work. Just a minor setback. Just a little detour on this road to success. But you got to stay the course. I hope some of you, because I know all of you, I'm preaching to every single one of you, but I know my message isn't going to get through to every single one of you, okay? I am fully aware of this. Some of you don't give a damn. If there aren't instant results, you ain't trying to hear the shit. It is what it is. But for the rest of you, understand that while this could be a miraculous turnaround next year, and I'm rooting like hell for it, understand that these things usually take time. You want to be the Lions? You want to see the growth that the Texans have shown this year? That didn't happen overnight. That's for damn sure. The Jets tried to take a shortcut. We've tried that same shortcut. Look at how it worked out for them. Shit doesn't work. Taking shortcuts. You got to build it into a winner. You can take a shortcut when you do it the way the Rams have done it. They went to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff. They won their division almost every year. And then they went out and got Matthew Stafford. They were ready. That's when you can take a shortcut. The Jets were the laughingstock of the AFC East the year prior, and they decided we're going to go out and get Aaron Rodgers, and that's going to change everything. And maybe it would have. Maybe it would have. But it didn't. He got hurt. Because that's what 40-year-olds do. They get hurt. There are no shortcuts on the road to success. Sustained success. Hopefully we're the exception to the rule, but I'm not gearing up for that. And I hope a lot of you out there understand that premise as well.